Hello, good evening, and welcome to Big Talk here on Global Television. A program will focus on some political conversations and other programs of government and interventions of stakeholders in the national building. Earlier today, President Bola Tinubu sworn in new head of civil service of the Federation, Mrs. Didi Wilson Jack, took the oath of office around 1 p.m. earlier today at the council chamber of the Aso Rock Villa. This is just the commencement of the Federal Executive Council meeting. She succeeds Dr. Falashede Jemi-Isan, who served as a substantive head of service from March 2024, a day before she attained the retirement age of 60. Tonight on the program Big Talk, we'll be looking at the recent events in the country, the reaction by stakeholders, the involvement of security agencies at the last End Bad Governance protest took the first 10 days of the month of August. These has continually drew attention of many Nigerians who feel that the voices of young people ought to be heard by government. And of course, the government on the path have responded in respect to the demands of the protesters. But it looks like the conversation is not yet over on the fact that the consideration of the economic hardship is still facing many Nigerians in the country even as of today. We'll be looking at the state of the nation, the growing concern of stakeholders, and what the language of the federal government really looks like in terms of handling the whole situations currently in the country. We'll go on the break right away, and once we return from the break, my guests will be joining us for the convention tonight. Do stay with us. Welcome back. You're still watching Big Talk here on Global Television. With the recent events in the country, which stand at a critical juncture in the history, affairs with the challenge of building a viable and a developed nation that upholds the democratic principles and values. Tonight on the program, I'm being joined by a Nigerian politician, human rights activist, citizens reporter, writer, lecturer, and a pro-democracy campaigner who founded the African Action Congress in 2018. Of course, the former presidential candidate of African Action Congress. Of course, joining us from New Jersey, United States of America, Mr. Sowore. Thanks so much, Honorable Sowore, for joining us on the program tonight.
Thank you for bringing me. Thank you.
All right, let me begin with today. It seems United Nations had marked August 12 for the youth to first mark out the International Youth Day. And of course, with recent events in the country, looking at also the End SARS protest in 2020, it looks that the youth of Nigeria are trying to take up the country in their own hands, looking at the fact that it looks like some of the economic policies and government policies have not gone down well with the country. What can you assess the recent wakes of youth in the country, owing to the fact that many years ago, it wasn't really like this?
I think the Nigerian youth have reached the age of awareness and a higher level of consciousness that they just don't want to be used as pawns and as paraphernalia for celebrating Youth Awareness Day or whatever Youth Day they do. They're now more conscious about their future and the needs to take over their country and develop it in their own interest and the future of generations yet to come. That is why today probably the Youth Day is not trending in Nigeria because they don't find a place on the table. They don't find any respect for their existence. And you mentioned two very important events which are quite sobering and sad. NSAS was a youth-led rebellion in 2020. And what happened to it? The Nigerian government shot and killed young people in large numbers at Lekki Toll Gate. Just last week, over 40 people were killed, young people, by the Nigerian government while they were asking to end bad governance in Nigeria. So There is no way
All
you
right.
can come out of that kind of massacre and be celebrating
All
the
right.
next.
All right, let me just get the conversation started. Most recent one is the fact that Nigerians took to the streets for end bad governance from 1st of August till 10th. And unlike SARS, looking at also the fact that recently Kano, Kaduna, and Katsina were the flagship points of the protest. Did you see this coming? Because unlike NSAS protests, we saw the flagship point in Lagos and all of that. What was the message? Because it looks like the protest was taken to another level in this region.
It was taken to another level everywhere, but it just happened that the northern part of Nigeria did display uh, serious bravery. But what is important and what should be noted in this last rebellion, or if you're going to call it a revolt, is that it's the first time that all persons in a country known as Nigeria came together on one issue, and that's to end bad governance. The Northerners been very vibrant and very uh, courageous people they are, and all these courageous young people. Yeah, you've seen Port Harcourt, you saw Lagos. It happened in Kwara State, in Abuja. Just took on their oppressors in ways that this has never happened before. Well, of course, if you are talking about hunger and poverty, if you look at the stats, you have more people who fall under, multidimensional poverty in the north, where there are some 10 to 12 million kids who've never been to school before, just roaming the streets. So it's natural that when you're talking about hunger, underdevelopment, and the resistance against these self-inflicted policies of government that has cost them, that the place that is most affected will fight the most.
All right. The reason I asked that question was because several state police commands in the north of the country have begun the persecution of arrested protesters during the 10-day end bad governance protest. Around over 1,000 protesters were arrested during the just concluded hunger protest. And it looks that your group and many of the organizers have promised to protect the protesters. Give us an understanding what your group are currently doing to rescue and also intervene, understanding the fact that these ones were the ones who went out to exercise their right.
Well, even before this particular movement took place, we had already started assisting people in Kano and Kaduna, and I think Yobe, where police and the DSS, the Nigerian Secret Police, were carrying out the raids and illegal arrests of planners of this protest. So we have continued to do the same, but what we discovered was that while they imposed a curfew in Kano and our lawyers couldn't get out there, the police connived with two judges, two mobile court judges in Kano, and tried arbitrarily and summarily over 632 people and sent them to prison in Kano. And I joined the case for a long time. So we're working to reverse that process, and we hope to get them out. We have people who are detained in Abuja. We're working to get them out. Our lawyers, and I must give props to the Adeyanju and the Nibe Effiong, Femi Falano. All these guys have been working tirelessly to make sure that anybody that's illegally detained at this time is freed. So we have just been working on it. We're still working on our part and getting the last batch of SARS detainees out of prisons in Lagos. So there's no stopping until everybody's freed.
All right, we just hope that a lot of concentrations will be done to rescue them. Now, it looks that, in 2023, you contested for the presidential office as well, along other presidential candidates. But what really stands out recently is the fact that it looks that one of the major political parties are subscribed to subsidy removal. And now we are bent with the fact that the president has removed subsidy. Now he has reiterated his commitment to that policy. What do you differ from that stand within the president and the fact that many other political parties have subscribed for subsidy removal, which they said it was evil?
I knew that this would be the outcome of subsidy removal. I've been fighting against removal of subsidy since I was aware. politically in the 80s. Even before we got admitted into the university, I participated on the street against the World Bank and IMF policies that targeted subsidy to the poor and vulnerable. So, and almost every other year when I was in university, we fought against subsidy removal until today. So I know what dislocation it can do to society when people have no means of social cushion, and when they have no financial support due to unemployment, in large scale poverty, multidimensional poverty. If government does nothing in terms of subsidizing people and bringing succor to the poor, but unfortunately, Nigerian leaders do the opposite. They take away whatever can benefit the poor and they give themselves everything, both things they need and things they don't need. You look at the salary of and allowances paid to Nigerian public officials, their ability to buy jets, houses, sell government properties to themselves and their cronies below, under the table and below market price. You understand that they're not here to help the poor. So our own political party or agenda was to come here and distribute wealth, because Nigeria's problem over these years has not been wealth generation, it's been wealth distribution. And that's what created the poverty we're talking about. If you give a contract to your friend, he steals the money here and you pay him more money so that he can give you part of it. That's not how to develop societies. And that's why we were very, very diametrically opposed to subsidy removal. All other political parties that I know of, supported removal of subsidy. Meaning that had any of these candidates, so-called forefront candidates, won, we would have still had the problem of, economic dislocation. We will still be where we are today because they just have no clue and understanding of how to run a society that brings succor to the poor or the generality of the public. They are more interested in just mounting policies that they have little or no understanding about. They're talking about economic policies of industrialization, but yet they are maintaining monopolies. They're talking about societies that are developing all over the world. They want to be one of them, but then you pay people slave wages, no motivation. There is hardly a Nigerian worker. I'll say 90% of them who can afford to go on vacation, just vacation after working for a year, for 1 month, because where are you going to get the money to go? So you have all this dislocation in society, and on top of that, you come and float your currency, knowing that you don't produce anything, you rely on imports, and then the price parity dislocates everything. You can't even run refineries in a country that is one of the highest producer of crude. So when you have all these incompetent people in place running your economy, running your political life, running the judiciary, even your traditional and religious institutions or spiritual institutions, you are doomed.
All right. So do you feel the savings of the subsidy so far have not been properly utilized? Because the president had boasted that we had some saving from the subsidy. Even when some persons are alleging that it looks like government are still subsidizing fuel. What's the concern about the fact that all of this was to put into the infrastructure developing? Recently, over 570 billion was also shared to some state, and it also looks like the state has silence over this. We've seen the Oyo State governor saying probably he didn't receive such fund from the federal government, unlike others. What do you feel? Do you think that the federal governments are not being sincere about the policy, or are not doing enough in respect to what they are serving from that?
There's a difference between servicing the people and servicing the political class. If you take out 570 billion naira and you give it to states to do whatever you wanted to do with it, you have not given it to the people. You have only given it to the governors, who will change them into foreign currencies and take them out of the country the next day. That is servicing the political class. You service the public by investing in long-term policies that will enable them, to solve the hunger crisis. You have to invest deliberately in mechanized agriculture or modern agriculture so that, there's food security. To solve the problem of infrastructure, you have to remove middlemen, and corrupt people who have no construction materials, who gets to be given construction, contracts. To solve long-term issues of manpower or development, you have to deliberately educate the youth and create opportunities for them to have jobs. So, and invest in healthcare. If you're not doing this and you're just getting involved in ad hoc measures, whenever people complain, you give them rice. When students complain, you give them rice. As one of organizers said recently, when children are dying, you give them rice. You don't give them hospitals. It's just wasting your time. And this is what Nigerians ought to understand about why we are saying that we need a revolution, because there's no shortcut to development without putting in the right people in the right places and taking the right route to development. Every country that's developed in the world have done the unthinkable of doing whatever it takes to develop their society, to industrialize, to rapidly invest in education, healthcare, to invest in public works that creates automatic employments for people, as they've done with the New Deal in the US and every other society around you. Look around the world. You just need to study. But you cannot develop your society by engaging in ad hocism, which is what these guys do. And this is all they know how to do. If you like, leave them in power for another 500 years. The best they can give you is not a developed Nigeria, but a Jurassic Park.
All right, so moving forward, it also looks at the fact that many Nigerians and the protesters have also raised concern about the cost of governance in the country. But experts will say that, democracy is expensive to run. You can't, the president has no power in in the face of the National Assembly. But they've currently been actually dragging some members of the House of Representatives in respect to some of their locations, and even far as the vehicles they got and all of that. Do you feel that, and even in some of the demands of the protesters have also aligned, merging the House of Reps and the Senate together? But in respect to our Constitution, there is no room for that. What is your concern about the cost of governance, having that House of Representatives merged with the Senate and all of that?
You see, when you're talking about democracy, I want to address you appropriately. Where did we borrow the idea from? The US, right? The US has over 320 million people, I suspect, or 350, and they have a Congress. You go do your investigation with 50 states, how many senators they have. They're not up to that of Nigeria. What is the salary of their senator? What is their emolument? That is the allowances. No, you need to read Reuters last week. There was a story about this and bad governance protest where they said Nigerian lawmakers are the highest paid in the world. Highest paid. So if they're telling you that, what else do you need to know? And we're saying, look, to even match or cut down the cost of gold, we have to do something first so that we don't put the cart before the horse. We must create a new constitution. I'm glad that some elders met with Tinubu last week and reiterated our number one demand. That is that we must have a new constitution, because the constitution is the article of faith. It is the marriage certificate for all these diverse groups in the country, so that we know what we're doing. And we can say at this thing that this is what we need. This is how I don't actually think we need a House of Representatives. I think we should be good with just the Senate. 80 something people, maybe 2 or 3 people per state, and Abuja.
Are the numbers contributing to a problem?
What?
Are the numbers we have in the House of Reps contributing to a problem?
Yes. That motley crowd that's doing nothing in Abuja and harassing and extorting money from MDAs is a big problem for us. Most of them don't do anything. They're just contractors. They're just collecting allowances. An average lawmaker in Abuja receives over 20 million naira. Some have said 29 to 30 million. That is not, that's separate from what they get from, contracts and all those sittings and oversight that you see them doing. It's just an extortion process. So why don't we just reduce that? And if we can have like 80 something people and we make it part time, that is, maybe they meet 4 times a year, every quarter, they come to Abuja, and we can just put them in a bus. They go to work and stay in a hotel or a government house somewhere. We don't have to provide them with housing. We don't have to provide them with one car each. I mean, can you imagine that, people are doing nothing, nothing, absolutely nothing, all have to get a 160 million naira bulletproof car, and you just have people who can't even afford 1 meal a day all over the country in a large numbers. How does that even work? Why are we still debating this here? But in doing this, we have to change the constitution so that the constitution, it will be very clear that this is what the constitution says about what our government structure should be, the size of it, and we cut down number of ministries. We don't need 40 ministers and minister of state, all these jobbers and then special assistants and this and that. We just have that. This is the way to go, and we must do that now. If we want to have any progress going forward. But I must say that even if you have 5 people running Nigeria, it may not cut down the cost of government until you have the right people put in place to run the country.
All right. In view of how many constitutional conferences you've seen in this country, do you feel that that's the solution? Also, owing to the fact that we had other confab, that are held in respect to this constitution. Don't you feel that that's another room to create for looting? Because we've seen the fact that several confab has been held in respect of the constitutional conference.
Well, the difference between the one we are proposing and the one that they have been doing is that the decision of this one is not subject to any ratification by the president or the National Assembly. It goes to referendum straight. Now, whenever the people vote yes or no, we have a constitution and it takes effect immediately.
All right, let me now get to a very much disturbing issue in the country, which has to do with insecurity. I understand the fact that the president seems to be tackling some. We also find that what the greatest concern about the current absence of unavailability of food, because it looks that we are running out of food, and they are concerned about insecurity in allowing farmers to get back to farm. There have also been a move by the federal government to create another ministry to cover for some of these areas crises. And now they are concerned about creating another ministry in respect to the fact that you're trying to cut cost of governance, trying to merge your ministries together. Do you feel that will probably address the many insecurities we have in the farm? Because many farmers, as I speak to you, are not going to farm because of the insecurity.
Very true. And that is why I said earlier today on a radio show that, when you hear the what's it called, the Comptroller General of Immigration putting protesters on watch lists, you think these people are foolish and incompetent. There's a problem of border insecurity. You need, as immigration, to hold that border so that terrorists and bandits are not pouring in and out of it, so that farmers can get back to work, so that you can secure the territorial integrity of Nigeria. You don't do that, but you spend your time, watch listing people who are writing and promoting a protest that is legitimate. And today, another ridiculous thing is that they are all investigating a woman who tore her husband's passport at the airport, which shouldn't be something that you preoccupy yourself with if you're serious. So, to do that, we don't need another bureaucracy. We need, part of the problem we had with terrorism was that the Nigerian police, whose duty it is to take care of the internal security of the country, left his job or was driven away from it by the army. Today, if you go to our cities, the army is even controlling traffic. That's how involved they are in internal affairs of security. But we need to get a police that can go back to work, that can be in every police station, that can collect intelligence, and that can act on intelligence and have a central intelligence pool processing unit of all the security agencies who are working internally. Why the army work to protect the country? That's the job. So until you have all this confusion resolved, you can wish all you want. Nigeria is not going to return farmers to work, because getting farmers to return to farm doesn't have anything to do with having one policeman accompanying a farmer with an AK-47 to farm. It has to be a general atmosphere of security and a proper understanding of what farmers are also doing in the market. Because if you're talking about subsistence farmers who are you are still serious, we're talking about farming on a scale that can not only bring about physical security but food security. And guess what? If there is food security, a lot of the insecurities you're having now will also not be happening. Because the moment you solve that problem of hunger, you will also reduce crime rates in the country. I can guarantee you that.
All right, because issues where we are finding that some organizers have presented a lot of demands to government, and I just want to get your clarification. Government has said we will call for dialogue. Give us an update. Has there been any means of reaching out to all channels of communication in respect to all of the demands the protesters gave to the government? Because we've also seen threats that if it's not addressed, we will hit back on the street. Probably we do not just want that concern of people going back to the street for another protest.
Well, we're not part of it. If anybody's meeting with the government, we are not part of it. And I can speak for Taking Back movement, and we have been a major push. We've been in a major push for this peaceful, non-violent revolt against bad governance in the country. So we're not aware of it. We have made it very clear that our demands, 15 in number, do not require any physical meeting. Because to reverse fuel subsidy doesn't require for us to meet. The president was one who did it. He was just reversed it. And to release people like Nnamdi Kanu, you just need to discontinue your bogey at the federal high court and figure out how he gets home safe and reunited with his family. And to do several other things we have said, like investing in education, providing employment, ensuring security, and security reforms, doesn't require any meeting from us. We don't want to be part of the revolving door visitors at the presidential villa, or people who want to dialogue. And I think the path to creating a constitution is also very clear. So I don't know what dialogue they are looking for, except they are looking for people who are looking for a way to
All
get
right, all
paid.
right.
Then we don't
The
do
reason I'm
that.
asking that question, all right, the reason I'm asking that question is because there are many demands, and it looks that a government of over 1 year, because that's another explanation of when you ask some members of the government that are saying within 1 year we can't address the many issues you are raising. And there have also been an argument that they inherited, a dead economy, that are trying to fix the situation, that they should give, President of Appeal, give me some more times, I will address the situation. Don't you feel that all of the demands is too much for a government of over just a year?
Maybe you have not read the demands. Very little. They're very easy to solve. But there's a difference between people with political will and people who have no political will. That's where the problem is for them. When they wanted to extend the tenure of the IG of police by 4 years, it took a day. When they wanted to increase fuel price, it took just a few seconds during the swearing in. So many of the issues that needs to be solved wouldn't require much time if they are genuinely interested in that. But I want to be clear to you that if these demands are not met, because we have announced that by October 1st, will begin a series of revolts in the country, and the preparation is in top gear for that. And it might happen earlier than that. Nobody can guarantee when the next one will happen. But for now, we're looking with so that they don't say they don't have enough time. But the people you are saying don't have enough time have had enough time and money to buy a private jet for the president for $100 million, and another 50 million ahead was used to upgrade the jet. It's probably on its way to Nigeria as we speak. They built a 21 billion naira house for the vice president. They give 90 billion naira to people who are going to Hajj, and now they're investigating that the money has been stolen. So when you're dealing with people who have the wrong priority, These excuses you are giving don't even have a place on their table. So, but we know that these are minimum irreducible and non-negotiable demands, and we will make sure that we get to the bottom of it as soon as possible.
All right, Mr. Sowore, you want this country to work. I'm quite very aware of that. So sometimes people misunderstood you. What do you feel is your vision for a good Nigeria? What do you feel you're envisaging for a better Nigeria that all of us want to build this nation?
Well, I am not trying to be talking the game here. I think my position has been clear that Nigerians don't are not even asking for much. Nigerians are asking for electricity to be available 24 hours. That is a hospital nearby that they can get to when they're sick. And that schools where they send their children to should be as good as the schools that the rich, their governors send their children to. And that they don't want to be driving on highways that are death traps, that they want potable water in their homes, have access to gas to cook their food, like you have. And I'm not talking about even developed countries. We're talking about things that are available in places like Ghana. That's not too much to ask for. Like I said, if I start talking the big game, people are going to say, oh, Rome wasn't built in a day. But the answer is, was Rome built forever?
All right, moving forward, do you feel that what are the envisaged hindrances to all of this issue? Because just as you mentioned, it looks simple. Even the president, when he was asking for the job, he said he's gonna do the job. Do not pity me. But it looks now it's not very difficult. Highlighting some of those things you've mentioned. Do you feel that there are some factors that hinder some of this development?
Of course, part of it is competence, as we've been, our process, the process through which we hire leaders they're completely flawed. It doesn't allow us to get our best. And then, secondly, the process is flawed, it brings in flawed people, people without character, people who have no intellect, people who have zero or no understanding of development. And that's why you always hear them talk about highfalutin policies and ideas. And they make it sound as if Nigeria is the most complex place in the world. But the question you ask them is that if Nigeria is so complex to govern, why is it not complex to steal money from Nigerians? So it is not as bad as they want to make it sound to you. A lot of the things Nigerians are looking for are not rocket science. Let me give you an example. South Africa had an electrical meltdown some 2 years ago. And all hell was let loose by South Africans, because so many of them have never seen the lights go off before. But within 2 years, they're back on track. Same thing happened in Ghana. What is it with us that we can't get common electricity right? And you and I know without that, there's no way forward. You're not going to have industrialization or even prosperity of any kind, or even stability of any kind, even security without electricity. Let's even start from there. But every government has come in and pour money into the basket of fixing the electrical grid or generation. And they've always done it by pouring it in the hands and pockets of their friends and cronies and themselves and their families. So the same thing is happening with subsidy. You have 4 refineries where the workers are getting paid as we speak, but they don't work. They don't produce a drop of water. So what? Why does it sound? Why do we want to make it sound like it's difficult to do simple things? But of course, as long as you have greedy people, incompetent people, wicked people, people whose mentalities are designed to oppress, steal, and destroy, there's no way you can have progress. So the solution is leadership, leadership, leadership. We don't have that, unfortunately, and that's the truth.
All right, a very big thank you to Mr. Sowore, of course, former presidential candidate of African Action Congress. Thanks so much for joining us and sparing some of your time with us on the program Big Talk. We deeply appreciate it.
It's been a pleasure. Thank you so much, and have a nice day.
All right. Of course, we'll go on a break, and once we return from the break, the conversations on Big Talk continues. Just stay with us.
for an insightful idea that takes the center stage and the conversation that gets beyond the headlines, to explore the lasting impact of political decisions. Big Talk got you covered. From policy debates to geopolitical insights, from thought-provoking discussions to actionable insight.
What is the real responsibility of government?
Big Talk delves deep into the heart of the matter. Join us weekdays on global televisions from 6:30 p.m. for a reverting journey into the heart of politics, where we dissect issues shaping our society.
I want to go further to congratulate you on being on DSTV 365. Channel 365 is an awesome thing. Congratulations, and I will enjoy each and every one to keep on watching Global TV.
This is Global TV. For your current affairs, for your current information, ideas, education, entertainment news at the best. Channel 365 on DSTV. You have just come alive into a new phenomenon in the media industry. Keep watching. Stay tuned.
Keep watching Global Television on DSTV channel 365 for your news and all national issues and international breaking news. Watch Global TV.
The concern for national building is that all of us have to come together to develop the nation that upholds democratic principles and values for everyone. And of course, that was the conversations we had earlier with the former presidential candidate of African Action Congress, Mr. Sowore, who joined us virtually from the United States of America in discussing some of these issues. We look forward having another episode tomorrow, of course, sometime here on Global Television, Channel 365. Do well to drop your reactions and, of course, your concern or the comment section. We'll take it on tomorrow on the program. I'm Edika Michael. Thanks so much for joining us. See you tomorrow.